Hi, welcome to Sustainable You. So today the plan has been to look at our broccoli and our sprouts, preparing them for the winter. So as you can see, just to talk through the state of them to start, they obviously have had quite a lot of nibbling, and we aren't too worried about that because firstly there'll be other predators coming in to eat them, and secondly we are not eating the leaves, we're going to be eating the florets of the broccoli and then obviously the sprout of the sprout plants. So how we're preparing it today is we get quite a lot of strong winds coming from this side, and so we have been just strengthening them, some with some old tent pegs that we found, but also coppiced some of our trees over there. So we've just taken that just to strengthen them. This is a little guy here, but these are fairly heavy, so we've picked those up to take them off the ground a bit. The second thing that we're going to be doing today is unlayering some of the mulch, and I'm going to just show you we're going to earth it up, so it's basically going to be a bit of a lot of mulch up to about here, so that will keep the roots warm, which is good. Will also help the plant keep standing, and we're going to do that for the winter. So that's the plan for today.
What are we going to do when we remove the mulch over there?
Oh, that's a really good question. So once we start to remove the mulch from here, we're going to put a cover crop in. So our cover crop is going to be spread all around here. So the positives to that is basically it will reduce the amount of weeds that come through over the winter, so we won't have to weed a lot because we'll have this cover crop. It will break up the earth a little bit, and also it will start to put nutrition back into the earth as well. So when we come to planting here next year, the soil will be in really good stead. So as you can see, we've just laid down our cover crop. So this is vetch and rye. So that'll start to grow up. We just literally spread it over the patch that we want to keep weed free, and then scattered a little bit of compost over the top, handfuls, just like this. I'm going to give it a bit of a water now. We are using a mix of 10% worm juice, which is from our wormery, and the rest water. Gives it a bit more of a nutritional kick. We're just going to pour that over. You get a good start in life. The other thing that we've put in this bed as well to try and reduce the number of pests is we've planted garlic around the edges to distract potentially some of the pests that come on here as well with the smell. So ready for next year.
Improves your soil. Cover crops helps enhance soil fertility and structure. They also serve as living mulch, essentially protecting the soil from erosion, which, especially over winter, can be very easily caused by wind and water. And the good thing is that as they grow, their root systems is going to prevent soil compaction and also improve the structure. That means that it will allow a better water infiltration and air circulation. All those things are very good, especially over winter. And when cover crops are eventually incorporated into the soil, that means earlier in the year you can chop them and add them as mulch. Then also they continue to contribute to that soil as an organic matter. They increase soil by that organic content and nutrient. Another benefit is that upcycles nutrients. That means that certain cover crops like legumes or any sort of nitrogen fixing have the ability to fix that nitrogen, and it does that by a combination from the atmosphere with symbiosis with bacteria, which are nitrogen fixing. And this process increases soil nitrogen levels and also therefore benefits crops that are going to follow your cover crop. And cover crops also scavenge and absorb nutrients. from deep in the soil, so preventing leaching and making them available for whatever you're going to be planting in the future. It suppresses weeds. That's number 3. Cover crops act as a natural weed suppressor by shading the soil surface, so it removes that sunlight going through, and outcompeting weeds for light, nutrients, and space. So very dense foliage to cover crops helps smoother the weeds, reducing their growth and spread. Also reduce the need for you to use any sort of herbicides, or if you do or think about weeding manually, and promotes really a more sustainable and low maintenance approach to that, right? So things that you want to grows and take a space for others that quickly are made to pioneer and cover the ground. It controls erosion. So one of the primary purposes of cover crops is to prevent soil erosion. The extensive sort of root system, it binds the soil particles together and reduces the risk of erosion caused by wind and water runoff. This is very crucial, especially if you are on a sloping sort of landscape of areas prone from heavy rainfall or wind. For us, it's a lot of the wind that comes over winter through the side. Moisture conservation. So cover crops really help to retain that soil moisture. It reduces evaporation and improves water infiltration. So a leafy canopy of cover crops acts as a protective layer that of shields the soil from direct sunlight, which can lead to rapid sort of moisture loss and preserve soil moisture. It depends where are you in the world. This especially matters. It contributes to be more resilient, sort of more drought tolerant, also helps throughout the year if the soil is all moist and ready, can also collect water easier. And it creates habitat. So it's biodiversity in its core, because the presence of those cover crops increases the biodiversity, just providing habitat for insects, birds, microorganisms, right? You want them there to contribute to the natural pest control and pollination. So really fostering the idea of a balanced ecosystem, which takes us to sort of pest management, because things like certain master greens or all the stuff are natural pest repellents. Maybe you hear about marigolds through the spring. So certain properties can act as a trap or sort of deterrent, confusing, so pushing the pest away from your crops that you want to eat. And cover crops, especially if you count with them as a green manure, extends your season, because you can use them for protecting that soil during the fall and the winter, and that's fine. But you can also turn certain ones as a matter as nutrients, green manure, to put it back, and also to eat. Some of them you can eat and or feed to your cattle.